Hello, Blue friends. Pat Kelsey believes his Louisville team defeated a national title contender, Kentucky. This was a huge, even positive surprise, even after Louisville defeated the Wildcats, ultimately affirming Kentucky's potential. Let's take a closer look at this now. Pat Kelsey, the Cardinals coach, left the court with a dislocated finger, but with the unwavering conviction that his team defeated a legitimate opponent in the national title race. And, interestingly, this confidence in Kentucky was the biggest compliment of the night. While Kelsey celebrated the feat, Kentucky's coach, Mark Pope, was probably mentally replaying the film of a game that, despite the result, reinforces the solidity of his project in Lexington. For many analysts, the defeat doesn't erase what Pope has been building. On the contrary, it confirms that Kentucky is being treated as what the program has always been, a powerhouse. When a historic rival, after years of frustration, publicly says they beat you because you're a title contender, it's a rare kind of respect earned only through performance. Since 2009, Louisville had only beaten Kentucky 3 times, and not at all since 2020. This puts the magnitude of the game into perspective. It was more than just a state matchup. It was a quest for affirmation. And the fact that Kelsey explicitly stated that Pope's team is a national title contender speaks volumes about the recognition of Kentucky's level of play. On the court, the game was described by both sides as a true college basketball battle. It was a high-level college atmosphere, summarized Kelsey, praising the competitive and clean nature of the game. This, in itself, reflects the style Mark Pope has brought to the program: intensity, discipline, and tactical identity. Even on a night when the shooting didn't fall at the expected pace and Louisville made better use of its chances, Kentucky displayed flashes of the team that can go far in March. The pain of defeat, of course, is inevitable, especially when it comes from the biggest rival. But there's something deeper in this result: the recognition that Kentucky has once again become the standard by which other programs measure their success. Kelsey spent an entire year saying he needed to break the losing streak in the rivalry, that it wasn't a real rivalry if Louisville couldn't win once in a while. He did, but paradoxically, this victory only carried weight because the opponent was Kentucky and because Pope has once again transformed the program into a synonym for excellence. In Lexington, the defeat will serve as fuel. Pope, in his first major rivalry cycle, has already proven capable of restoring pride and competitiveness to the most prestigious jersey in college basketball. His team, brimming with talent and playing with renewed energy, has been seen by opposing coaches, including Kelsey, as a real threat to the title. And it's hard to imagine a more direct compliment than that, coming from someone who just won. For Kentucky, this is the kind of setback that fuels adjustments, not doubts. Pope isn't the type of coach to be shaken by a stumble in November. He understands what it means to build something lasting. The season is long, and the Wildcats still have the stature and talent to compete for every possible trophy. Louisville, on the other hand, needed a cathartic moment. Kentucky, in contrast, remains in the spotlight, even when it loses. It's the price and the privilege of being the program everyone measures to see where they stand. And if Kelsey truly believes his team beat a national title contender, that doesn't diminish Kentucky. It only confirms what the entire college basketball world already knows. Under Mark Pope's leadership, the Wildcats have returned to being the team nobody wants to face and everyone dreams of defeating. Everything's set for Mitch Barnhart. Check this out. In recent weeks, Kentucky football has written chapters that could easily be read as a script of overcoming adversity and resilience. The team story with Mark Stoops, a coach who carries the unwavering confidence of the administration and the most loyal fans, is proof that college sports are not measured solely by the final score, but also by the ability to evolve even in the face of adversity. BBN, known for its fervent passion, now sees clear signs that the program is on the right track to return to relevance in the SEC, a conference as competitive as it is challenging. Since mid-October, victories have begun to emerge where they previously seemed impossible. A painful overtime loss against Texas was the trigger for a symbolic turnaround. In the following game, the Wildcats ended a years-long drought by scoring 3 offensive touchdowns against an SEC opponent, something that seemed distant in recent seasons. But the best was yet to come. Kentucky beat Auburn, breaking a 10-game losing streak in the conference, and then overcame Florida at home with a historic performance, the greatest since the 1950s. These victories were not just numbers on the scoreboard, but concrete demonstrations of an ongoing process, led by Stoops with patience and conviction. The mood among the fans reflects this change. After months of uncertainty about Stoops' future, there's a growing sense of optimism. Bowl projections have once again included Kentucky, and the team needs only 2 wins in its last 3 games to secure a playoff spot. A return to the Bowls would be significant not only for sporting merit, but also for its impact on the team's development. Mitch Barnhart, the university's athletic director, highlighted this by stating that participating in these games allows young players to continue growing, practicing, and refining their skills. It's a necessary cycle to build a solid program, and Stoops seems to be paving that path with caution and strategy. Barnhart, incidentally, has been emphatic in defending the coach. During a recent meeting, he made it clear that Stoops not only has a job secure, but also continues to be seen as the ideal figure to lead the program forward. Sometimes when you face difficulties, you're climbing the mountain little by little, taking steps, Barnhart said. This metaphor encapsulates Kentucky's current moment well. It's not about giant leaps, but rather small achievements that, added together, can lead to great transformations. The institutional support for Stoops is unquestionable, and this gives the coach the stability needed to continue working in the long term. There is, of course, a pragmatic recognition that reaching the higher divisions of the college football playoff will not be a quick or easy task. However, Barnhart and Stoops share an aligned vision. Consistent progress, even if gradual, is the most sustainable path. And recent results suggest that this philosophy is beginning to bear fruit. The Wildcats are not only competing, but also demonstrating the ability to win difficult games against traditional rivals. This type of performance is crucial for changing the mindset on and off the field. The victory over Florida, in particular, was emblematic. It wasn't just about ending a losing streak at home in the SEC. It was a statement that Kentucky can compete at a high level, even against programs with more established traditions. The triumph brought not only relief but also pride to a fan base that, despite all the difficulties, never abandoned the team. And by all indications, the continued support of the Big Blue Nation will be fundamental for Stoops and his team to maintain the momentum in the coming seasons. As Kentucky heads towards the end of its regular season, there's a feeling that this is just the beginning of something bigger. The recent victories, although modest in scale, represent much more than simple positive results. They are symbols of a program that is learning to overcome its own limits, guided by a coach whose patience and determination are beginning to pay dividends. Let's follow this. The incident involving Zach Calzada, the backup quarterback whose viral video of him counting money generated waves of criticism and questioning about the program's culture, could have been a negative turning point. However, under Mark Stoops' firm and thoughtful leadership, the incident became more than just an embarrassing moment. It turned into an opportunity to reaffirm the team's core values and solidify its collective identity. Stoops, always a tireless defender of his players, did not hesitate to take responsibility for what happened while maintaining focus on the personal and athletic development of the roster. His approach to the case was exemplary. No excuses, but with a clear understanding of the pressures surrounding young athletes in the modern world. "We will always be a program based on development and accountability," declared the coach, echoing a philosophy that has guided his decisions since taking over the Kentucky team. This balanced approach reflects not only his experience as a coach, but also his sensitivity to the complexities of mental health and the challenges faced by athletes living under the relentless gaze of social media. Garrett's initial provocation, which quickly spiraled into a public narrative, brought to light a crucial aspect of the current sports environment: the interaction between athletes and fans on digital platforms. What began as an attempt to intimidate Calzada ended up exposed for what it truly is: a clear example of the toxic behavior many young athletes face daily. Stoops not only publicly acknowledged this, but also vehemently defended his team against these attacks. "There's no place for rewarding these self-proclaimed trolls," he stated, highlighting a firm stance against cyberbullying and reinforcing the importance of protecting his players from this type of harassment. What's interesting about this episode is how the team responded to the moment. Far from succumbing to criticism or letting the incident undermine their confidence, the Wildcats seem to have embraced the challenge in a unified way. The crushing victory over the Gators was emblematic in this sense. Cutter Bowley celebrations, including the choreography simulating money after a touchdown, can be seen as a symbolic statement. The team did not shrink from external scrutiny, but used the episode as motivation to prove its worth on the field. This sense of cohesion and resilience is a direct reflection of Stoops' leadership, who managed to transform a potentially divisive situation into a unifying point for the team. Furthermore, it's worth highlighting the larger context in which this story unfolds. Kentucky is just 2 wins away from securing its playoff spot, a feat that would be a significant milestone for the program. In a sport dominated by historical giants, remaining competitive year after year requires much more than raw talent. It requires a resilient mindset, a solid structure, and a leader capable of navigating adversity wisely. Stoops has repeatedly demonstrated that he possesses these qualities, and the episode involving Calzada is further proof of this. He not only protected his player from a juvenile mistake, but also used the moment to reinforce the program's values and inspire his athletes to overcome adversity. Kentucky is not just a team that plays American football. It's a program that lives and breathes a philosophy of continuous growth. With Mark Stoops at the helm, the Wildcats have shown that they are capable of facing internal and external challenges with maturity and determination. The incident with Calzada, although it began as a distraction, ended up serving as a powerful reminder that even in the most difficult moments, there is room for learning, redemption, and progress. What did you think of this? Comment